Ever wondered how to build simple API from scratch without using any fancy frameworks? In this video, I am going to show you how to build a REST API using Node.js and Express step by step. It's beginner friendly, so let's get started. Our API is going to allow us to manage a full list of tools, for which we are going to use a built-in memory database. Now, without further ado, we can start building our simple API using Express and Node.js. Here we can see that the first thing that we are defining, or we are importing it using the keyword require, is Express. Then we are requiring the FS module, which is a short term for file system, which we are going to use to read data from a file, which is going to serve as our mock database. In this example, we are going to fetch our tools from there, and then uh, we are going to return it to our users which we are accessing the database. But first, we are defining our app using Express, then the port, which is 3000, and after reading the data, we are defining routes which serves whenever users hits them. For example, if they want to send a GET request on this URL, they're eventually going to receive a status of success with the tools data. And then we have another example here, which we use to return a single tool using an ID in the URL, dynamic parameter, which we are going to see how it works. We're going to write that code with you in a second. Then we have a post method, and we are also going to add a patch and a delete request. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to create a file named tools.js. An empty file into which we are going to take our imports like this. And when we have Express in the FS module, we can define our app by writing app equals Express. Then we can define our port, which is 3000 by default. And the last thing we will be defining here is a middleware, which is app.use express.json. And what this middleware is doing is basically the middleman between the server and the client side, or the person who is fetching the data from our server. It's modifying the data. We'll see that later in this video. So we can also fetch our tools here by using JSON parse and accessing the file system methods, one of which is read file sync, which is synchronously reading data. We'll also use our directory name with the name of the file, which is tools simple.json, and we can either specify the encoding format, or we can skip it because it's UTF-8 is usually the default one, and we are going to skip it here just for demonstration purposes. Then we have defined everything we want and we will need, so we can start by defining our routes which are going to serve then later on when we are going to use Postman for hitting those URLs. I have just forgotten to show you the list of data that we have here. It's an array of objects, and every object contains properties related to a specific tool. So here, after writing /API, a good practice is to mention the version, which in this case is version 1. Why is that? Because every time we change something related to the API endpoint, is going to break other related functionalities. So whenever we want to, explore exploit a new version of our API, we're just going to change that to 2 or create a new function for it. So here in the function, we are going to receive two parameters, which are going to be the request and the response, and we are going to eventually return a status of 200, which is a status for success, as you may already know. We are going to also write here success and return the data as tools here, and here I'm writing tools as k and as value as well. And usually in this case, it's okay if we just delete the value and keep a single tools. It's actually the same when we are passing a parameter in object which have the same q value pair. Okay, I think that's it for the first URL that we have defined. And if you want now to try and see if that's working, we can um, write app.listen just to make sure that everything is okay. And we are going to console log that our server is running on our specific port that we have previously defined. We are going to open the console now and write a node and the name of the file, which is stores.js. And one big mention here before writing these commands is going to be cool if you write npm install express, because eventually if you don't, it's not going to work. I promise you that. And I'm going to pretend that I have hit enter now, but I won't because I have already installed this package in my directory, but you should do it. And after that, you can write node tools.js, and we can see that our server is running on port 3000. And if we open Postman, um, here we can maybe delete this, or okay, I'm going to use them because the focus of this video is building the API. But later on, I will also show you how you can create your routes. For example, create new request here, and we will write here the API, which is you can see it right here. Then the port we are using. Then we have API version 1. I hope you're seeing this well. Okay, I'll do it like this. Then we have tools, and we are going to remove the ID. And then we can hit send. And we can see that our status is success, and we have the list of data here, which is very cool. Our API is already working. Okay, we are going to hide the console now and continue with writing the other API URLs endpoints. Sorry, sorry for dismissing that. We have API version 1 tools, and then we are going to specify a dynamic parameter in the URL by using this syntax. Then we are going to again receive two parameters, request and response. And here, the first thing that we should do is to get the ID from the, oh, what is happening? To ID by accessing the request parameters like this, but if we just write that, the ID usually is string because we are extracting it from the URL. And one cool trick that I could show you right here is if we multiply a number that is represented string, like in this case by any other number, is going to result in type of number value. Okay, so here, as long as we have the tour ID, we can check if the tour ID is bigger than the tour.length. And the reason that we are doing this is because if the tour ID is bigger than the tours.length, that means that actually the tour ID is not going to be present in our data, because as you can see, our ID is 0, 1, and so on, and it matches the number of the objects. Okay, so in this case we will return a status because as I have already said, we are not going to find valid tour in this case using this ID, and we are going to return valid tour ID. Okay, just like this. And then when we have the tour ID, we can using the find method find the tour. We are going to use it on the tours, and it will give us access to every element, and we are going to check if the current element ID is equal to our tour ID, and eventually at the end we are going to receive our tour, which matches the correct ID, and we are going to return it, of course, with the status of 200, and JSON is suitable for the body object, in which we are going to set status of success like this, and that on our data object, which we will have tour. And the one way to do it is, as I have already said, this syntax, or we can just delete this tour. And okay, I think that we can test it, but we just can't forget to restart our server because eventually it won't work if we don't. And for this reason, we can now install a library or package, sorry, Node.js. And after doing so, what we are going to able to do is, now I'm going to clean the console by hitting CLS. Now we can run our server by using this keyword nodemon instead of just node. And what that is helpful for is going to update our server. What happened? App crashed. Okay, ID 49. Just give me a second and we'll it's not a valid JSON tools.js. Okay, I have written something in this file. Now we will try again. Okay, nodemon, and you can see that our server is running on port 3000. And if, for example, if we change something here, I don't know, maybe here we will return a status of 201, just for demonstration purposes, and we save, and we can see that the nodemon package have restarted the server, and we don't need to basically stop and start the server every time we do a change, which is very helpful and developer helpful. The next thing we can do is to go in Postman and try to get a tour by passing this unique ID in the route. As I have said previously, we have the API address, then the port, API version, our tools, and then we can set any ID of our choice. And first of all, I want to try with 10, for example. And we can see that the API, our server, have returned an object with status of success, ID of 10, which we have requested, and some properties here. If we try to hit ID with of 15, we can see that the status is failure and the message is invalid to ID. And if we go in our data, our database, we can see that the last ID is 10 and we don't have an object with ID of 15, and that's why we have received this error. Okay, sorry. So our app.get by ID tool is working, and we can go on and start specifying our post endpoint. We have the same start. I'm not going to mention everything one more time. We are just going to get the ID of the next uh, tool, which is done how we are actually accessing the last tool in the object by setting tools.length -1, because our IDs are starting from 0, and then we are accessing its ID +1, because we want our the tool that we are going to post to be the last object ID +1. For example, if our ID last ID is 10, the next object's ID is going to be 11, which is exactly what we want. And then we can create the object of the new tool using object.assign, which is suitable for taking two objects and putting them together. And here we are specifying our ID and the request.body, which will contain our other parameters that we are going to send via Postman or any other provider. Then we are going to push our new tool into the tools array like this. And the next step is to rewrite the file which serves as our database, for which we are going to use write file again with our directory. Okay, we are going to use the directory and then the name of the file like this. Here we are using JSON.stringify for our tools, and sorry, we are going to check here for errors. If I don't like this auto completion, I will make sure that in follow-up videos I will remove those, so we can better see what's happening and I can better explain. Here we are going to return status of 500 with failure and message if something happens with the operation from the file system. Once we have done that, if everything is okay, we can return the status of 201, which is a response status for creating objects or any other data, basically in endpoint. Success, and we are going to return our data to new tool like this. I can see that here we have some error. I don't know. Okay, that's strange. Here we have missed to set. Okay, I think we have fixed it. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, guys, I have finally fixed the issue. It was just one column missed, so I didn't want it to lose your time. I think that's it for the post request, and we can try it using Postman as well. Using We are going to save the file, and NodeMon is going to do his job. So we can go to Postman, open this endpoint with predefined URL, and basically what we are going to do here is specify some data in the body. Here, click in allow option. For example, we are going to name it our first posted tour. Difficulty hard, duration 24/7, for example. And if we hit send, we can see that our API have returned the created object in the memory. And if we go into we can see that the tools.simple, our file have reformatted, and um, we can format it again so it's more human readable. We can see that we have a new object with ID of 11, first passed to, exactly what we have set as a name in Postman, hard 24/7. So yeah, our post method is actually working, and with this we have built a simple API which provides us with get all events, get a single event, and posting events. And in our next video, we are also going to implement patch request and delete request. So make sure you subscribe, like this video if it was helpful for you, and see you in the next one. You can also drop a comment below to share for what you want to build next. Thank you very much.